Alright guys, welcome back to another Cichlidscape video. Caught me in a transitional phase because I was actually just doing a water change on this tank down here, which has got the Severum, the Blue Cara, the Angels and the Blood Parrot. And I'm cleaning out the sponge filter, so I thought I'd make a video for you guys on how I clean a sponge filter and some of the benefits that I see in sponge filters. And you'll be happy to know that the vast majority of the footage on this video is actually of the Blue Neon African Cichlid group, so let's get going. Alright guys, so we're going to try and make this nice and sharp because the 55 is currently waiting. 40 gallon though is looking phenomenal right now. Got 2 males in here and probably about 9 or 10 females, and as you can see the younger male is looking phenomenal. Look at the coloration there. Cannot wait to get breeding this group again. And even though I've had probably about 3 holding females since we've been in there, I've not taken any just because I literally don't have the space right now. But anyway, let's get moving on and doing a water change on this tank. So just going to prep the tank, start taking some water out. I just simply use a hose for this thing. Don't get water in my mouth, done it too many times now, but every now and again it happens. It's disgusting, but yeah. While that's draining, let's just quickly take a look at the 55 gallon South American Angel Tetra tank. Over here we've then just got a plethora of different fish, rainbows, angelfish, rasbora. Tank's still draining, but yeah, this tank is just looking brilliant right now. Really like the different species that we've got in here, and overall for a simple aquascape I think it looks pretty good. So once I've got about 3.5 gallons in this 5 gallon bucket, this one went a little bit overboard, but I'll pull out the sponge and just take out the middle portion of it, and then I'm just going to knead it and get as much detritus, uneaten food, fish crap and anything that's pulled into that sponge filter out of it. You've really got to squeeze it as hard as what you can. It's a pretty decent forehand workout, but from there I'll then put it back in the tank, make sure it's nice and solid and set, and then I'll do another one. This other one, again, do the exact same technique and really knead it. You're trying to get out any of the gunk that you didn't in the first place, and I find this is just a brilliant extra way, an extra part to really make sure this sponge filter is clean without nailing any of the beneficial bacteria that's in it. Even through this second one, as you can see, that's the amount of crap that was in the water, so still a decent amount, say it was the second bucket. After that we're going to refill the tank. I use Fritz ACCR as my water conditioner, and then I just get filling it up. Before and while doing that I also put some Lake Malawi cichlid salt in. Just feel like it really helps these fish just in terms of the nutrients and that kind of thing that's in the water. And I've also got a little sponge in there that helps to keep the incoming water coming through that hose from really disturbing the substrate, and I find this is particularly beneficial in my planet tanks. Alright guys, so as you can see from that footage there, sponge filters are so easy to clean. That's the first thing for me and the first reason for me why I love sponge filters. Just literally rinse them out. I like to rinse them out 2 times like you saw in the first component of the video, and then you're pretty much done. You're done then for, I usually do 3-4 weeks until I then wring it out again. And if I've got 2 sponge filters in that tank, I tend to flip-flop them, so I do one every 2 or 3 weeks, and then I do another one every 2 or 3 weeks, but you know, simultaneously, if you get me. Second reason why I love sponge filters is that they are quicker to clean than any of the hang on the backs or the canister filters that I utilize right now. I've never actually used a sump, although I would imagine they are quicker than cleaning out a sump as well. I mean, it's literally just sponge. Wring that out, throw it back in, and you are good to go. Third reason why I love sponge filters is that they're good for any size fish. They're good for small tetras like the neon tetras I've got in this tank. They'll filter tanks of medium-sized fish like these African cichlids, and they'll also filter tanks like the bottom 55 gallon I've got here that is housing bigger angelfish, a blood parrot, a severum, and some people just run sponge filters on absolutely huge tanks. And quite frankly, the best thing about them is that they do the job. They collect beneficial bacteria, they help to clarify your water, and you're golden. So all you need is an air pump, airline, sponge filter, and you are good to go. Without a doubt, the cheapest source of filtration. Having said that though, I'd be lying if I said sponge filters for me were the perfect form of filtration. In my opinion, they're probably second best depending on what you want to do. If you're just running, a breeding setup, or you're not really too fussed about how the tank looks overall, like I personally don't care if this bottom tank that's housing the severum and the blood parrot, has a big piece of foam directly in the middle of it, I don't care. However, for some of my more Aquascape tanks, like the 10 gallon out there that was in last week's video, I'll leave a card up here and I'll overlay some footage of that now. I obviously wouldn't want a sponge filter in that tank. But for these tanks right now, and the situation that I'm in, just in terms of wanting more filtration, wanting to have the Aquarium Co-op sponge filter, this sponge filter, and another form of filtration, just for, during this period when we move in house, I might miss a few water changes, in which case this extra filtration is just kind of going to keep me going. But yeah, the only thing that I can see is that Aquascape tanks, sponge filters isn't really something that I'd be wanting to do, and that's why I use hang on the back filters or canister filters for those. Last thing and last reason why I don't necessarily buzz off sponge filters is because the water clarity in those tanks isn't quite as good as when I run a hang on the back filter with some polyfill in it, or a canister filter that's got loads and loads of that sponge media. But in this situation, beggars can't be choosers. If you're looking to spend $20, $30 on a sponge filter kit, like you buy a small little pump, some hosing, and a few sponge filters, you can run that 40 gallon tank. Whereas, if you were to try and get a hang on the back, for instance, an Aquaclay 50 or an Aquaclay 70 to run that, you're looking at 40, 50 bucks, and potentially even more if you want in a canister. So pretty much to end this video, if you're looking for an easy form of filtration, a cheap form of filtration that is an eyesore, but you don't necessarily mind that in your tank, and you always feel like you can hide it behind a rock or something like that, sponge filtration is the way to go. So anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got something from this video and you've learned something, please let me know down in the comments. Give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe down below, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.